Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I am Brad, and this is John, and of course we are the Posh Kings.
Hello everybody, and of course, welcome back.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back. We're back. We're glad to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so here we are, another reseller Q&A.
We love doing these.
Yeah, it's fun.
We love hearing all your questions, and look, all we're doing is giving our opinion, so obviously it's
For whatever it's worth.
Yeah, it's only our opinion. It's not the rules of...
You don't have to listen to what we say.
The rules of the road. You don't have to listen to what we say.
You don't have to do what we tell you to do.
You don't have to go around and be like, yo, Brad and John don't know what they're talking about. I'm not doing it. It's all good. We all have our opinions.
Some people say that. Okay.
That's true.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah. That's it. So yeah, we have a bunch of questions. Obviously, people reach out to us on
Social media.
Typically, sometimes Facebook, but
Mostly
more
it's
often
Instagram.
than not, it is on Instagram at ThePoshKings.
On Instagram.
We even get, Instagram. That was it, right?
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even sometimes on the TikTok.
Ew, I don't know if the kids are saying the TikTok, but
The TikTok.
I don't know if it's the TikTok.
The TikTok.
It's not the TikTok either. Kids are not saying that.
Anywho, here we go. So we have a collection of some of the week's better questions to share with everybody. And give our 2 cents for whatever that's worth.
So if you ever have a question, or if you see something going on in the community or anything like that, just crosses your mind, you want to ask us what our thoughts are, definitely feel free, like John said, to reach out to us on social media platforms and ask us a question, and we'll talk about it in the show.
That. All right, here we go. First question. How many days a week do you thrift? I try to go daily, but only seem to find a couple good items a day if I'm lucky. We probably go once a month now.
Yeah.
Once a month, just because we enjoy going, looking for some great finds.
It's fun, the treasure hunt.
It's really not where we source our merchandise so much anymore that we sell. We do static listings on several platforms, but we also do a lot of posh shows. As we have mentioned in many videos, you have got to be able to have access to volume to really do most categories of things in posh shows, or live sales, I should say, rather, be it Whatnot, Jamble, there used to be Galaxy, and of course now Poshmark, and there are some other fringe ones as well. So we really don't go that often. And what we're finding is a lot of people are saying they're not finding as many good items as they used to. 2 reasons. One, either they find it and the prices are sky high. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, we saw this one seller this week on Instagram showing Steve Madden shoes that look like they're in near perfect condition, but Goodwill wanted $59 for Steve Madden shoes.
Yeah.
Huh?
There are thrift stores around here, and we've mentioned it several times now. There are thrift stores. We're in South Florida, for those of you not familiar with that.
The prices are ridiculous.
Michael Kors used bags, like with bubble gum all up inside of it, $99.
Yeah.
Like bubble gum.
You can get a new Michael Kors bag on clearance or on a great sale for that price.
Coach fabric bags and Dooney fabric bags.
With stains on, looks like
monogram,
an
old school, like the old school, like 90s monograms, early 2000s.
Which are fine.
They're still fine.
The big,
but
the whole
to
90s.
Flip, still in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, we don't get it.
Also, too, when we did a lot of thrifting, when a lot of our inventory came from secondhand, we still didn't spend as much time. Like, we would go to
Goodwill never did well for us.
we never did Goodwill or Salvation Armies or any of those. We know they do well for a lot of people.
Stores,
we've talked about this obviously since we started doing this. We never really have luck in the Goodwills and all that stuff, and also it takes a lot of time.
In our area.
In our area, maybe not. I know some people who are maybe in our area get better luck than we do. We have
a friend who goes to Goodwill all the time here in South Florida. Yeah. She swears by it.
And that's all she thrifts
at. We went to the same store she would, and literally would walk out with zero. Nothing.
So what we've realized is, even we don't have 4 to 6 hours to sit inside of a thrift store. So we go to the thrift stores, like John said, a lot of times they're independent owned. They're not chain based, i.e. like the big box stores like Goodwill and Salvation Army. We go in, we know they'll have some goodies. We go in, we find it, and get out as fast as possible, because we can't spend 8 to 10 hours in a thrift store or thrifting for a day, because then guess what? We're not working. As in, putting the merchandise, trying to sell our merchandise. So we try really hard to, if we do thrift, which now, like John said, is not very much, we try to keep up.
So, in answer to the question, you need to diversify. You really need to diversify. You need to, go to thrift stores, whatever. But if you go every day and you're finding one or two things, I mean, really, you need to diversify. You need to have, let's say, online companies you can get merchandise from.
There's so many of those companies out there now where you can source online.
You should have at least, I would say, the average successful seller should, or it's a full-time seller should have at least 5 or 6 sources. You have to, in order to make the income you probably are looking to make.
We used to, real fast, remember when we used to know a seller literally that would spend 10 to 12 hours a day thrifting 5 to 6 days a week and then try to get it all listed and working all the platforms and cross-listing it in one day. It's like...
That's hard work.
It's
and
fun.
Look, we give it to her.
Again, we love finding treasures out there just like everybody else, but we also want to make money as well. So that's hard to calculate into your time.
Next, we have this person said, I do pallet pulls posh shows. And sometimes I'm on Whatnot as well. And I used to do really well. However, it seems I'm not doing as well as I used to. Any thoughts? Well, look, things are popular at one point and then they always evolve. We have seen the quote-unquote pallet pull shows are not quite as busy as they were.
Right.
And there are fewer of them because a lot of people are saying the same thing. At one point, at any given time, just using Poshmark as an example, you would go and there were 20 or 30 active shows saying Target pallet pulls,
Macy's pallet pulls, Nordstrom pallet
Macy's
pulls.
Has some great merchandise. Target, great stuff too. Whatever, all wonderful. However, when you have 20 people doing pallet pulls at the same hour, the competition is stiff.
Right.
It is stiff. So it really, like, a lot of people aren't doing so. I'm not saying it's not doable, but the actual pallet pull method is not as strong as it was for most people. I think the client is looking for a little bit more than, just pulling something out, showing it, calling it a day and whatever. I think the clients are becoming a little more savvy. They want it kind of presented a little bit differently. They want to know more about the item. And that's just our take on it. We could be wrong. But
again, the way we do things,
we have a lot of pallet friends, so to speak, and they're kind of getting out of the pallet pool business.
They're doing more like
they're kind of curating their shows.
That's what I mean. I was trying to find the word curate.
Maybe not. They're choosing 100 items and trying to showcase, and they're doing higher starts. They're not doing the $3 hollers shows. They're they're investing a little more work, but they're asking for a little bit more, which well deserved. For their work.
Of course.
So that's kind of the deal with that. Next question. Oh, here we go. Hi. So I'm really pleased with my static sales, which are traditional sales for those who aren't familiar.
People who don't do live sales, if you just kind of set it and go.
And I am happy with my Posh shows as well. I'm thinking about renting a store space to work from. Is that usually a good idea? Okay, so we used to own 9 brick and mortar stores. Very, very large stores at that. Setting that aside, because we have our personal feelings with that. However, we know there have been a very small handful of sellers that have done that, and it worked out.
Yes. And still to this day it still works out to this day.
Kind of. I don't know how many of the ones that are actively doing it didn't have a lot of hardships in the process. They needed to bring in tenants with them, so forth and so on, because the space during the lower months they weren't really making enough to pay all of the overhead. Overhead sucks. It's much easier to work from your home because you know what that is. You know, you have to have a home, somewhere place to lay your head, so to speak.
Yeah.
It is a lot easier to do that. Now there are some people that did well with it, but more often than not, when the lease is up, people leave.
Yeah.
We've seen that over and over with really major sellers, major sellers.
Or when it's a slower period of time, it's hard for them to keep on top of,
Yeah.
which like having a storefront, it's hard to keep on top of all of the overhead monthly.
So if you have a business model that you think you're just going to make tons of money doing it, and it warrants the expenditures, because it's not just the rent. You have the electricity, possibly a water bill,
Wi-Fi,
you have
internet.
and all of it. It becomes very, very expensive. So really, before you make a jump into doing something like that, look at all the expenses. Of course, it's exciting. You know, you've grown and you have this, you know, kind of great feeling of owning your own space, not owning, but renting your own space. It's great. It's wonderful. But you know what? When it's eating up all of your profits, it's not so wonderful anymore.
Right.
So just please really look. Again, there are some people that have done well with it and they're very pleased, but the ratio is very small. And with us, that's why we're moving, because right now we live in a high-rise condo. We have a big warehouse. We are moving back into a house. We thought, oh, we didn't want to live in a house anymore. We're moving back into a house in a couple of months.
For the space.
Because we want everything under one roof.
Yep.
We want a big fat garage that we can use for the storage.
Keep the overhead low.
Keep it low. Keep the money for yourself. Don't give it to everybody else. All right, next we have, my eBay is super dead. You're not the only one. A lot of people are saying.
We've heard that across the board.
I'm a little nervous because I just started selling full time about 6 months ago. Is it normal to be so slow? Yeah, it is, first of all. It's that time of year.
Yep.
Normally January 15 until the end of February, beginning of March, can be very slow for most sellers. It's one of those times of the year.
Yep.
Everybody's waiting for their taxes. We said this a couple videos ago. Waiting for their tax returns. Their credit cards are sky high.
From the
Not
holidays.
everybody, but some. So they use the tax return to pay the credit cards down. It just kind of is that way. It's not abnormal.
Nope.
Some people still do very well. We'd be very fortunate. We're doing well right now.
Yep.
But was it higher in the holiday season? Of
Yes.
course it was. So it kind of gives you a false positive, you know, because the holidays are good, what have you. And then all of a sudden, mid-January to the end of February sucks. It's going to get better soon. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Relist.
But we
or
have had a
in
lot of people.
eBay stores sell similar.
Yes.
Definitely relist your merchandise. Make it, you know, new. Even just change like one of the words in your titles. It'll definitely help get a little more coverage, a little more viewing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next and last question. Do you ever think about giving up reselling? Sometimes I'm just drained and totally over it. You and everybody. We all do. We all do.
This was even a big question. Like, again, we talk about this in pretty much every one of our videos. We have been interviewed and about like our previous careers and when we had the brick and mortar stores. It was almost just, it was like bad in those times too, where you just go, you know what, should we just close the door and say, you know what, let's try something different. You get a little tired and a little drained.
Look,
it's hard to push.
It's
sometimes.
not easy. Reselling is not easy,
Nope.
especially if you want to make a really good income. It's a lot of hours, but there are freedoms that come with it that you don't get otherwise. And you have to be willing to put up with that.
Yeah.
But yes, everybody has bad days. Sometimes you have a bad month. You're just kind of over it.
Everyone has it.
Get back on the horse, ride it, and make it work. Make it work. And if you're just finding it's not who you want to be or what you want to do, then look for something new. But it is quite normal, just like anything. Sometimes you just kind of get over it. And you know what? You don't want to do it anymore. But make sure you have another plan before you
Of course.
say enough.
Yes.
And it can also be something that, you know, becomes, if you decide you don't want to do it full time anymore, then you could be a part-time, you know, side gig.
Yep.
And we have seen that happen a lot. There were a lot of, you know, because we've been around for a while in this, and we're very fortunate we do well, and it is good for us. We have no complaints. Well, we do have complaints, but, you know, that happens. But we have seen a lot of people that went full-time. especially couples, a lot of couples.
Yeah.
They were hot to do it. You
They
know,
were
they were
like,
doing it.
yep.
Everybody thought they were rock stars.
Yep.
And they were at the time. And then all of a sudden they just get burned out.
So they kind of, either one of them goes back to a standard 9 to 5, or we'll call it, even though it's not really standard all the time, but a more 9 to 5 type job. We've seen that several times.
Definitely figure out your finances and just, really research what's best for you and what is good. But yes, short end, because I know we always take the long side. Everybody gets over it.
Everybody gets definitely.
It's normal. It's normal, and it's not to say that. I always say what's true today may not be true tomorrow. If you're having a lousy day today and you're just over it, tomorrow the sun may be shining all over again.
Well said.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. We covered all the questions. Keep the questions coming in definitely on our social media.
We'll be back.
And, we love answering and giving our opinions on things. Everyone, be sure, consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed to our channel. Hit that like button if you are liking the content. We'll keep putting it out for you guys. We can't thank you enough. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much. Be well. Take care, everyone.
Have a good one, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.